Afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. As we begin a new school year, the health and safety of our students and our educators, our staff, and families continue to be our utmost priority. At PTA, we remain committed to making sure our families, our schools, and our communities have what they need during this challenging time. National PTA has done some wonderful work this year with the CDC Foundation to conduct listening sessions and have a national survey with parents across the country to better understand what is going on in their minds and how they're feeling as the new school year starts. Our goals today are to share the findings from the research and provide important information, resources, and professional experts that are joining us to support our families this year. We're so fortunate to have an esteemed group of experts with us today to address questions and concerns on how can parents partner with teachers to address missed instruction this past year? What can parents do to support their child's social, emotional well-being? And how do I keep my child safe in the school this year? Throughout our conversation, we will encourage you to post any questions or comments that you have in the comment section of this live event. While we won't be able to verbally answer them this afternoon, we will make sure to review all of them and respond to them after the event in the comment section as well. Thank you again for joining us. I'm really excited about this great panel and the information that's going to be shared. But before we get started, to begin our event, I'm so excited, I'm shaking. Can you see I'm just a little bit nervous? We have a special guest joining us today to share some remarks. It is my distinct honor to welcome our very First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden. Dr. Biden is a longtime educator and currently a community college educator. As First Lady, she continues her work for and commitment to education. She understands it, she gets it. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Biden.
Thank you, Anna, and thank you to the National PTA and the CDC Foundation for hosting this back-to-class virtual town hall. The new school year always brings a mix of emotions. All at once, we feel the anticipation of new classmates and teachers, the relief of not having to hear, "I'm bored," again and again, the anxiety of juggling your family's complicated schedule. And that was before the uncertainties of COVID. Now, a simple cough can start your heart racing. And you know that at any moment, a quarantine could send your kids home and upend your life once again. Parents, this is hard, but you're doing your best. And I want you to know you're not alone. As a teacher for more than 30 years who continues to teach, and as a mom, I've seen that classrooms are so much more than places where our children learn math and reading. We've all seen it. When our kids make friends that last for years, when they learn to settle disagreements or find the confidence to try out for sports teams. Parents rely on schools too, heading to our own jobs, knowing that our kids are in an environment we trust. And that's why I'm grateful for the volunteers like you who do so much to support our students, and for organizations like the PTA that are working hand in hand with the CDC and the Department of Education to keep all of our schools safe. My husband, Joe, promised families that he would bring people back together to get kids back to class. And that's what we're doing now. This administration will always be a partner to you. We can't know what our future holds, but we know what we owe our children. We owe them a promise to do all we can to keep their schools open and as safe as possible. We owe them a commitment to follow the science. And we owe them unity so we can fight the virus, not each other. Together, we are committed to working as hard for your children as you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Biden, for joining us today and for all of the work that you do in behalf of education. We applaud your efforts and stand ready to work with you in partnership. Now, I would like to introduce Kate Snow, who will be moderating our conversation this afternoon. Kate is the anchor of the Nightly News Sunday and senior national correspondent at NBC News. She has a deep interest in students and learning, especially related to the pandemic, and has led different segments over the past year for NBC's ongoing Kids Under Pressure series. She's also a parent and a mother of 2 teenage children, and she understands the concerns that many of our families are facing and having today. One thing I just learned about her, well, I actually learned a few things about her. I think it's pretty cool. I want to share them with you. Her favorite color is green. She loves lobster, and she loves music. She sings, and she has over 3,000 songs in her playlist right now. How cool is that? So please join me right now in welcoming Kate.
Anna, thank you so much. That was a great introduction. I appreciate it. Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today. We have so many smart people with us here for this presentation. So at NBC News, as Anna said, I do a lot of stories and reporting that have to do with children, that have to do with school, education, mental health, physical health. And during this past year and a half, I've done a whole lot of stories and reporting about the increase in anxiety and depression among our kids, the troubles with virtual learning for parents and kids. The college search was a couple stories that I did. But I have to tell you that I think probably the most instructive for me is that I am living this also. I have a senior who, well, he's not a senior anymore. He just graduated from high school in June. He's taking a gap year right now because he needs a break before he goes to college. And I've got a 15, almost 16-year-old who's going into junior year. We don't start in New York until September 9th. It's really late this year. So I'm not going to get into all the gory details, but I can share with you that this has not been an easy year and a half in my family at all. It's been really difficult. So when I hear the study results that you're going to hear, I can relate to a lot of it. I think you will too. I'm just really glad to be here and kind of represent all of you parents, hopefully with my questions. So I'm going to do 3 segments today. First, we're going to talk to the CDC director and the Secretary of Education coming up. And then 3 segments after that, just to kind of set the scene for you. We're going to talk about keeping kids safe in schools in one segment. We're going to talk about creating meaningful family partnerships with our schools and teachers. And then we're going to talk about healthy minds. But first, I want to introduce to you National PTA Deputy Executive Director of Government Affairs and Communications, Elizabeth Rorick. She is going to present the findings that I just mentioned from their listening sessions they had with parents and from the survey they did with the CDC. Beth?
Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I think we have some important information to share about parent mindsets and the return to school this fall. With funding from the CDC Foundation, National PTA fielded a nationally represented survey of 1,448 parents in partnership with HCM Consulting and Edge Research. We also conducted parent listening sessions in 9 different states. You'll notice several quotes throughout the presentation with those parents from their listening and learning sessions. The survey includes oversamples of African American and Hispanic parents and was offered in both English and in Spanish. So the findings show that parents continue to juggle multiple worries. Those worries range from social emotional learning to academics to their child staying safe and healthy, but they're most concerned about their child getting COVID. We found that 60% of parents are somewhat or a lot worried about their child contracting COVID at school and getting sick, followed by 58% who are worried that their child will contract it and give it to a family member at home. And 58% of those parents are also worried about future disruptions to their children's learning. You'll also see that only about 25% of parents feel comfortable sending their child back to the school building for in-person learning. There's also a difference across race and ethnicity here. with more white parents feeling comfortable than African American and Hispanic parents, which is illustrated by the verbatim on this slide, which also shows a mistrust of schools to implement COVID precautions. You'll see that the parent says, "It feels like many don't understand the American school system. You can't have 3 feet and have everyone in the school building." Interestingly, these results, both the comforts and the fears alike, are consistent for students at all ages, whether the parent has a young child in elementary school or an older child like I do in high school. When we asked the parents how they would prefer to send their child to school, 58% of them preferred actual in-person learning. Most parents want their kids back inside the school building, there's no doubt. But here it's important to note that white parents were more likely than Hispanics and African American families to choose in-person learning when given the choice of hybrid or virtual learning. We also note that the preference for in-person learning dropped significantly after the new CDC masking guidance was released on July 27th. So after the release of the new guidance, there was a significant increase in parents who preferred hybrid learning and a slight increase in those who wanted 100% virtual learning for their child. We also saw in our parent listening and learning sessions that a lot of parents, they were conflicted, which is illustrated here by a mom who's feeling a bit anxious while also recognizing the benefits of in-person instruction for her daughter. Her verbatim is included in this slide here. We also asked parents, what were the most important safety recommendations for schools to implement? We found 3 important things that were the most important to parents, and here they are indicated in the first tier of importance. The first, keeping kids home when they're sick. The second is cleaning and disinfecting, and the third is good old-fashioned hand washing. And we notice here that these are safety protocols and precautions that are actions that are not unique to COVID, and these precautions have the least personal impact on their child. The last tier had some really interesting results. You'll see here that parents are least supportive of recommendations that group or separate their students by their vaccination status. And you'll also see vaccines come up for the first time here. So there is a lack of consensus among parents regarding vaccines as a safety recommendation. And there was an even more significant difference indicated after the July 27th CDC masking guidelines was issued. Another interesting takeaway is that parents really want all the precautions used by schools to apply to all students, not just subsets. And the reason is they're worried about bullying. We see a pretty even split, with 52% of our parents having some level of concern about bullying due to vaccination status. And that's compared to 46% that are not concerned. And we heard this comes through loud and clear in the parent listening sessions that we conducted as well. You'll see that a parent from Tennessee said here on the slide, if you ostracize unvaccinated kids in any way, that's going to be a big thing. That's not going to fly. So there it is. The research that we just provided in the convening here today, it's an exercise in listening. It's listening to parents and truly meeting you guys where you are during this unprecedented time. And we're not going to stop listening. National PTA is going to keep listening to you, to parents, ensuring that your unique and very valuable perspective is heard. So I urge you all to visit the CDC website to read the new parent caregiver frequently asked questions. The link to those CDC FAQs is going to be shared in the chat right now. And for additional information on the survey, we urge all of you to go to pta.org. So I thank you and I turn it back to Kate.
All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much. Really fascinating results in that survey. I want to bring in now 2 of our special guests today. Dr. Rochelle Walensky, you know her, is the director of the Centers for Disease Control, the CDC. She's also the mother of 3 sons, including a high school senior right now. And Miguel Cardona is the Secretary of Education and also a father of 2 teenagers. They're both with me now. Welcome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Kate.
I'm so casual, you guys. I guess I should say thank you, Director, and thank you, Secretary.
Glad to be with you. Glad to be with you.
Delighted to be here.
So look, we just heard parents are worried. Vaccinated parents are consistently more worried than unvaccinated parents, according to the data that you collected. But the key thing that I pulled away was that, and we just said this, only 26%, about a quarter of parents feel comfortable sending their kids for in-person learning, and the rest prefer a hybrid or a virtual situation. Dr. Walensky, the CDC has said that kids should be back in school in person. Do you know something that all those parents don't know, or what's the rationale?
You know, Kate, first of all, thanks for having me. I can appreciate this anxiety. It has been a long year and a half, and we have a lot of cases and a lot of community transmission right now. But what we do know is when we implement the guidance for safe schools, for when we implement the masking, the ventilation strategies, the cohorting and the screening strategies, that we can have our kids be safe in school. And in fact, we have found that for the most part, cases are coming in from the community, and there's more disease happening outside of school than there is happening within the school. So schools tend to be safer places.
Is that still the case even with the Delta variant? Because I think a lot of parents worry that Delta is worse somehow.
We do know Delta to be more transmissible, and we have now data coming in related to the Delta variant. Of course, we don't have a lot of time in schools with the Delta variant, but what we do know, and we're hearing a lot about cases now, is that we're seeing outbreaks in places where these mitigation strategies are not occurring.
Secretary Cardona, so much concern about, it was the number 3 ranked concern about closing schools down again, or school changing middle of the year. I mean, that honestly is my personal concern, that my daughter's going to be a junior and then all of a sudden everything's going to screech to a halt again. We're going to have to go back to some hodgepodge virtual thing. Is that likely, do you think, in most schools in the country? Will we have to, step back from this in-person thing at some point?
Well, first, Kate, thanks for having me. National PTA, thank you for what you're doing in such an important time in our country. For you to step up the way you are. I'm glad to be here with you all. President King, thank you. And the parents who took the survey, thank you. We need to hear from you, and we need to make sure we're listening to our parents when we make decisions as educators and education leaders. And to answer your question, it all depends on how well we can come together to do what Dr. Biden said. Come together to make sure we're using those mitigation strategies to make sure our schools are safe, but also what Dr. Walensky said, make sure that our community spread is low. School reopening or school closing has more to do with what we're doing in the community spread. So let's do our part, not only in the classroom, in the schoolhouse, but in our community. Like you, I'm a parent. I want my children to be in person. I was fortunate to drop them off today. I have the same hopes and aspirations that everyone on this call has, that they have a safe and successful year. We can do our part. The CDC has been great about giving us information how to do that. We just have to do our part to make sure we're safely reopening our schools.
Wait, was today the first day of school?
It was, yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. One more for you, Secretary Cardona, which is a lot of talk about learning loss, right? People are concerned. I'm concerned that my kids maybe fell behind a little bit last year. I think especially younger kids, that's a big concern. What's your best advice to parents to get ready for this school year and to try to assess what their child's academic level is?
First and foremost, breathe. We are still in a pandemic. They're going to be okay. They're going to be okay. I really mean that. I know parents were worried about what the students didn't get. We talk a lot about the digital divide over this last year and a half. I'm more concerned about the relational divide. And I'm excited that across the country, children have an opportunity now to re-engage with teachers in person, re-engage with their friends. So when they get back into that sense of community, schools are going to assess what was lost, what was missed, and they're going to structure the curriculum to make sure that those key elements that were important to the year before are covered. Curriculum compacting, or providing after-school programming and additional support through the American Rescue Plan to catch our students up. So to the parents, continue to be great partners with the school, have confidence that together we're going to get through this.
Dr. Walensky, some parents that we heard from through the PTA listening sessions aren't ready to give vaccines to their kids. Like even if they were approved for 12 and under, some parents are sort of skeptical. Other parents are dying to give their vaccine. That's the wrong phrase, but they're very anxious to give the vaccine to an under 12-year-old, and it's not there yet. And they're really worried that their kid might get sick or pass it along to a family member because they can't be vaccinated yet. So for those who have kids under 12, how concerned should they be?
The best way we know to protect our children who are under 12 is to cocoon them, to surround them with people who are vaccinated. As you looked at the three biggest concerns, will my child get sick? Will they bring COVID home to a relative or a family member? And will school be disrupted? Many of those things are mitigated by getting more and more people vaccinated. So the best way to keep your under 12-year-old well is to surround them by people who are vaccinated and to have them in school following the mitigation strategies in school with masking and distancing where available, cohorting, testing, but then also to follow those strategies at home as children are doing after school activities and have play dates with people outside the school system as well.
And the million-dollar question that everybody keeps asking you, Dr. Walensky, I know it's not your job to decide when those vaccines get approved, an FDA thing, and you have to have the science, but you sit in a position of power. Do you have a sense for the timeline? Are we looking at this fall, winter, into the spring? What are we looking at for young kids to get vaccines?
The first thing I will say is everybody is looking at this with urgency. Everyone recognizes how important it is for those children to have access to vaccines. My understanding of the timeline is pretty consistent with what is being said. The middle of fall is my understanding. Early fall is when we will anticipate seeing the data, and then it will lie with the hands of the FDA, and I'm hopeful for the end of the year.
So if it could get emergency use authorization by the end of the year, what would it roll out quickly, or would we have to wait months to see shots in arms?
Oh, I certainly hope not. I know, given the urgency that everybody recognizes and that I'm hearing on this call and I hear all the time, I think as soon as we have a timeline vision from the FDA as to when we think that will happen, that there will immediately be planning to make sure it's immediately available.
Mr. Secretary, we've touched on this, a lot of disagreement in some communities, right? There are mask mandates and not mask mandates, and states that won't allow mask mandates. And I know the Department of Education right now is involved in investigating whether that's a violation of students' rights. I guess my question for parents is, what's your advice for parents on how to navigate these contentious issues, right? I mean, if you're going to school and trying to lobby for whatever you believe, but someone else is lobbying in a different direction, how do we handle that?
Listen, as the president, as the first lady said, we need to come together for our students. They need us now more than ever. They've been waiting and they've suffered enough. We need to follow the science. We know what works. Educators know what works to keep children safe. We need to make sure that educators and our public health experts have the final say on how to safely reopen school. After all, this is a health pandemic. Let's rely on our health experts to safely reopen schools.
Are either of you concerned about bullying based on vaccination status or mask wearing? That's something that came up in the survey.
You know, I think it's really important that we recognize that all of our schools need to be welcoming places for all students. And educators are working hard to make sure that as we come back from the pandemic, schools are not only safe physically, but also emotionally safe. And that includes ensuring that all students feel comfortable wearing masks, or if they're vaccinated or not vaccinated, feeling comfortable in that school community. Schools are communities. Families know this. All the parents on this call know. It's more than a place where you learn how to read and do math. It's a community. It's like a second family. So we have to make sure that our schools are welcoming for all students, especially after this pandemic where we've seen a lot of division.
Dr. Walensky, you and I spoke much earlier today, and you were mentioning, it's like 7:30 in the morning this morning. She's up already and looking like this. You were mentioning though that modeling behavior is important. right? Tell me that again. You're talking about the way parents behave is important.
Absolutely. I think we set that example for our children. So let's come together at the table. Let's understand and have a dialogue. And let's understand where our differences are, but most importantly, where we have things in common. I think we can all agree that we want our children to be safe. We want our communities to be safe, and we want schools to be a safe place and an educational place, a socially safe place for them. So let's find the places that we agree and then have an open dialogue about how we get there.
Secretary Cardona, one last question about the physical schools. You know, a lot of our schools are aging. I know the administration is making a push for infrastructure. I wonder whether you think most schools are, you know, in terms of the HVAC, in terms of the air conditioning, the heating, you know, are things up to speed now? Or can we feel confident that most schools are COVID safe?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think it really speaks to the fact that over this past year, a lot of attention was given to air quality and airflow in schools and ensuring that our systems are working up to code. And a lot of funds went toward that. The American Rescue Plan funds were available, and part of it is making sure that our buildings are ready. I visited schools where they upgraded their system or they fixed their system. It seems like in many systems across the country were in disrepair, but thankfully, funds were there and districts have worked on that. So I do feel confident that attention was placed there. And while we have old buildings, a lot of attention was given to the air quality of these buildings over the last 6 months.
Final thoughts from both of you, Dr. Walensky. What gives you hope right now?
Children always give me hope, because I think that as our future generation, I am learning so much from my own children. I'm learning behaviors that they model for me. And so I think as our future generation, they want to be back in school. They want to be safe. They want to have a wonderful school year and a wonderful learning environment. And I think we can look to them to unify and to send the consistent messages to have just a great year ahead. So I am really hopeful for the academic year of 21-22. I will have a graduate that year. In fact, I will have 2. And so I'm really hopeful for the year ahead.
Your second is from college, right? College graduate. Yeah. Secretary Cardona, do you want the last word here? What makes you hopeful?
The 50 million students that are entering our schools this week and next week, and knowing that there's a year full of promise of positive relationships, of learning, of growth. And I want the same for every child across the country that I expect for my own children. And we're going to work really hard at the Department of Education to make sure that not only do we reopen our schools, but that our children have an opportunity to thrive. That's our job.
Secretary Cardona, thank you so much. Dr. Walensky, thank you guys on a very busy day for making some time for all the parents. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, be well. For our next segment, this is the one that I told you about, called Keeping Kids Safe in Schools. I want to welcome now Dr. Lee Savio-Beers. She's president of the American Academy of Pediatrics. You all know that group. That's all, you know, the sort of body that governs all of our pediatricians. And Frances Frost is with us as well. She serves on the National PTA board. She's chair of the Family Engagement Committee. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you for having us. It's really, really great to be here today with everyone.
Absolutely. Dr. Beers, I'll start with you. We've heard from parents and all these concerns that we laid out. Specifically, concerns around the vaccine still exist. There are some who think that it's too soon, that, you know, how can I trust a vaccine when we don't know? As one woman I heard say in one of the sessions this summer that the PTA held, a woman said, what about 5 years down the line if I find out there are side effects for my child? So can you help us understand from a pediatrician's point of view why we should trust the science on these vaccines?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really happy to. And I think the first thing I want to say is it is normal and okay to have questions as a parent. That's our job as parents, is to make sure that we understand the health decisions we're making for our kids. I'm a pediatrician. I have access to all sorts of knowledge, and I had questions, and so I sought out answers. So I think, you know, first and most importantly, I would say absolutely reach out. You know, it's absolutely okay to have questions. You know, I think a couple of other things to point well, first of all, I would say that I really, the evidence really shows us that this vaccine is safe and effective. We sometimes we think about, wow, it came so quickly, but really the science behind the vaccine has been under development for a decade. And in fact, what we know of other vaccines, to your point about, parents asking, could there be long-term side effects? What we know about vaccines is that if there are going to be side effects, we see those within the first 6 to 8 weeks. And so that gives me a ton of confidence in this vaccine. We've had over 11 million teens get at least one dose. And we've had, countless more millions adults who've been fully vaccinated. So we really have a lot of information about this vaccine. I would say also, I have 2 teenagers too. We have a lot of teenage parents here, or parents of teenagers on the call here. And I have 2 teenagers too. My daughter's a junior in high school and my son's an 8th grader, and both of them have been fully vaccinated because I just think it's so important to protect them and keep them safe, and keep our families safe and keep our community safe.
Mine as well, by the way. Francis, a lot of people with kids under 12, I already mentioned, are particularly nervous about going back to school. How is the PTA thinking about that group, that cohort of kids, and what happens, how to protect them, and what happens if they do catch COVID?
I think one of the things that parents want to do, and this is, supported and encouraged by the PTA, is to be involved with your school, be in contact with your school, understand what are the precautions that are being put in place in your school? What are the rules and regulations around if a child is exposed and has to quarantine? And I think having that knowledge will calm your fears because parents will know what to expect. They know what's going on in their schools. And then for your own child, just emphasize those precautions that we've all learned over the last year and a half. Wear your mask, wash your hands, have your hand sanitizer, and even for the little kids, maybe have cute masks that will, encourage them to keep their mask, and store some in their backpack so that they at least feel comfortable that they always have their own personal supplies with them.
Dr. Beers, we touched on this with Dr. Walensky, but I wonder if we could deep dive a little further into pediatrics, right? And how this virus behaves in kids, particularly younger kids. There's been a lot of information about how rapidly it can be transmitted, particularly the Delta variant. But you tell us, what do we know about how it behaves in children?
Absolutely. And there's actually a lot of really good news here. I think this is one of the things as a pediatrician that I'm frankly grateful about every day is that, children are at lower risk for severe disease than adults are. And that is a really good thing. And that is a wonderful thing. But we also know that they're not fully, that no, low risk does not mean no risk. And so we do see kids who can have severe illness. We do see kids who can be hospitalized. And what we're seeing with Delta is that it doesn't appear to likely be more severe in children, but it is more transmissible. And so what I say sometimes is that, a small percentage of a lot of kids is a lot of kids. And so that's why it's also just so important to be doing the things that we know how to do to keep kids safe. We've Dr. Walensky talked about this, for kids who are too young to be immunized, make sure the adults around them are immunized to create that cocoon, for adolescents and adults who are old enough to be immunized, making sure that they are, using those common sense precautions like masks and hand washing and other things can really help keep kids safe. But I do think it's a good thing. And I do think parents should feel reassured that young children really do typically do very well with COVID. But we also know that every child who gets sick and every child who has a severe illness that's preventable, that's a tragedy. And if there are simple, effective things we can do to prevent that, we absolutely want to do those.
I've been wondering is there a relative risk to look at? Is it more dangerous for my child to be in a car? I don't know, than to be in school exposed potentially to the Delta variant?
Yeah, so two things to think about. I think the car is a great example, right? Because, and actually my daughter has her learner's permit. So I think about this a lot now when she's behind the wheel. So I guess there's gradations of risk depending on how experienced of a driver you are. But we know there are risks driving a car, but we also don't get in the car without putting our seatbelts on and doing driver's ed training and doing all those other things that we know can help keep us safer, right? And so, so I think that's one really important concept. I think, I was thinking about this just earlier today. We over the past week have had 200,000 pediatric cases of COVID just in the past week. And the good news is only, on average, about 1% of pediatric cases will be hospitalized, but that's still a lot of kids, right? That's 2,000 kids who are hospitalized, many of those hospitalizations we could prevent.
Yeah, thank you. Francis, let me go back to you. So I know that you do a lot of work around equity. Do you see differences in terms of the way districts are handling safety? I mean, we talked a minute ago about replacing air systems in schools. And my first thought is that that's probably a lot harder in certain school districts. How do you see that? What have you seen?
I think that's a really good question. As Secretary Cardona mentioned, that there are schools that needed HVAC replacements and repairs anyway. And the surveys show us that there's almost 50% of schools that needed some kind of repair and upgrades to their HVAC systems. And you're right, a lot of that disrepair happens in some of our most impacted areas. And I think one thing that we've learned over the last year, or realized and came to light, is that the equity differences in our school districts and our different communities. So where we have areas of schools that are crumbling or in disrepair, that's where we need to put our funds. That's where the PTA has been encouraging families to advocate. The association in itself has been advocating for additional funding for infrastructures for our schools, because it does become an equity issue. And then we've seen that in the health conditions and the health numbers of who's getting sick and who's being most impacted by COVID. Some of the discussions that we're having now in some of the districts is to have more outdoor lunch, or to take the classrooms outside and have teaching outside, which are nice, but they're short-term solutions, right? And like today, we were saying we're in a rainstorm warning, right? So that's not really something that can be done all the time. So we have to look at what are the long-term solutions, what are the more permanent solutions to make sure that all our schools are safe and that all our children have good, quality schools to be in and to be safe in school.
My own school district last year had our kids eating outside lunch every day, even if it was snowing. If it was pouring, I think they put them in the gym, but everybody's been creative. Dr. Beers, the American Academy of Pediatrics, I did a story last summer when you were one of the first groups to come out and say, we need to get our kids back in school, back in person. Some districts right now aren't even allowing a virtual option for kids, or if they are, you have to kind of qualify for it for a medical reason. Is that the right approach? Oh, you're muted.
Thank you. Apologies for that. My dog snuck in the middle of this. So I was trying to stay on mute so she didn't bark in the middle of someone else's comments. Thank you. Thank you. So, I think it's a great question. And I think it gets to actually two of the things really that we highlight in our guidance. First is that it is so important for education systems and public health systems to work together to determine what the best approach is for their educational system. I think the second piece is that we really have seen, we knew this, but we have really seen it over the past year, the value of in-person education and the gaps that we have seen that have emerged over the past year, that really, to the earlier point about equity, really are inequitable gaps. We have some groups of children who are impacted far more than others, really are growing. And so we've seen that strong value of in-person education. And lastly, we've also seen that we know how to keep kids in school safely. We know how to keep the environment safe. We know how to decrease the spread and really take it down very, very low, the spread of COVID within schools. And so I think those three things together, really should give us a lot of hope and encouragement about getting our kids back to in-person learning together.
Francis, real quick, because I'm technically out of time, but what's the top tip for parents to engage with their PTA, with their schools?
I would just say, just be involved, read your newsletters, your listserv, volunteer with the PTA, show up at school, and just understand what's going on. The nice thing now is that so many of our school districts are having board meetings and presentations online, and a lot of our PTAs are as well. So it really gives parents more opportunity to be engaged no matter where they are, no matter whether they have the opportunity to physically go to the school. So I think that's one benefit and one way parents can be more engaged with their schools.
Dr. Lee Savio-Beers, Francis Frost, thanks to you both so much for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
We could talk for hours here, but I got to move on to my next segment, which we're going to talk now about creating meaningful family-teacher partnerships. Looking forward to this. I've got three great guests with me now. I've got Helen Westmoreland. She's National PTA Director of Family Engagement. Also with us is Wendy Lopez of Fleeto. She's Vice President of Content at the nonprofit group Learning Heroes, which is a group that helps parents support their kids' learning. And then Lakeisha Young, she is CEO and co-founder of Oakland Reach, a nonprofit group that works to improve educational opportunities, particularly for families of color. And that's in the Oakland, California area. Do we have everybody with us yet, or should I start with one person? There they are. Okay, good. Hi, guys. Let me ask all of you, what can parents, and I'll start, Wendy, I'll start with you because you're the first on my screen. What can parents do to try to make sure they know how their child is doing academically as we head into this school year?
Yeah, so Kate, at Learning Heroes over the past several years, we have been tracking and seeing that nearly 9 in 10 parents believe their child is at or above grade level in reading and math. And unfortunately, nationally, that number is closer to a third of our students. And for many of our Black and Brown families, that number is even lower. And so we really believe that parents need and deserve a more accurate and shared understanding of their children's achievement in order to best support learning and partner with teachers. So, for example, we don't have to solely rely on classroom grades, which can often represent effort, not just mastery of skills. In fact, in our research, teachers say the number one way for parents to know how their child is progressing is to be in regular touch with the teacher. In addition to asking the teacher, there are other great resources just to get a gut check on how your child is doing. So at Learning Heroes, we created something called the Readiness Check with leading experts in math and reading to help parents just see how their child has learned skills from last year that are foundational to keep learning and growing this year. And the tool also connects you to videos and other resources to support at home. So lots of ways.
And can anybody use that, Wendy, or do you have to join Learning Heroes?
Yeah, no, it's all of our resources are free. They're bilingual in English and in Spanish, and they are at bealearninghero.org.
Thank you. Lakeisha, you told us that the Delta variant is surging right now in Oakland. Parents are really worried about their kids, their health. They're also worried about what they missed last year. What are you doing to try to get things back on track?
Well, that's a great question. One, I first want to echo like a lot of what Wendy has said. And I think, it's really around even a more radical push. I mean, we are sort of idealizing in-person learning in a sense. And in some communities, Black and Brown students before COVID, I mean, in Oakland, less than 30% of Black and Brown students are reading on grade level. So when the pandemic hit Oakland, we built a virtual family hub, right? And so that hub was providing like high impact academic and social programming for our students. And it worked. Like our kids were actually, the majority of our students went up 3 or more reading levels, right? And so that quality academic push, making sure families have supports, right? Our families have what they call family liaisons. And a lot of us have heard of family liaisons, but we don't realize how critical this role can be in really helping to bridge parent-teacher relationships. Because for many of our families, they need the coaching and the support to really be those sort of like transformational leaders and effective partners so that those partnerships with their teachers can be equitable. And on the other end, like teachers need to be focused on instruction, So the more that a parent has this partnership and support for a family liaison, the better it is to help parents navigate and the students end up winning. So I think that's a huge thing. And in Oakland right now, we're really working and partnering with our district around virtual learning. We are offering virtual learning. I think it's very important to be offering virtual learning right now to families who need them. And so we are partnering to make sure that families and kids are supported and they are still on track to college. Our families want their babies to go to college. Many of them will be first generation. And what we've seen is that whether we move forward and in person, my kids are in person. I'm actually tomorrow dropping my daughter off, Kate, to college. And I have a child in high school and a child in middle school. So I'm in it. But we need to respond and our systems need to adapt. And we should not be idealizing a specific way of instruction. We need to be focusing on high quality, high impact learning for all kids, which was the call of action that we should have been doing from the very beginning.
It's so interesting to hear you say that, I think you're absolutely right that people have kind of gotten down on tech, right? We're so sick of our kids being on screens, but that may be
Not every family's feeling that way, right? Yeah.
Okay, let me get to Helen. I don't want to leave you out here. You said to us how parents cope will impact how their children cope. Tell me more.
Yeah, so we've been really fortunate. This past spring, we recorded a mini series on mental health Notes from the Backpack PTA podcast, and heard from lots of experts. And I think from myself, being the mom of a 3-year-old, going through this, my child's daycare isn't following CDC guidance. Do I keep her? Do I pull her? What do I do? I don't have a virtual option. It's super stressful. It's incredibly stressful for families. This concern came up in the survey results that Beth mentioned at the top of the program too. Nearly half of parents are just worried about the disruption in learning. And one of the things that we can do as parents to help our kids cope is do whatever we need to cope, right? So on our podcast episode, Dr. Shafali shared this with me because I was, at the time talking about potty training my toddler, right? But that sometimes the expectations we put on our kids are too high and they are causing us to constantly butt heads with them. And so if you're having trouble supporting your kid reading at home and you want to instead go for a nature walk or join the virtual family hub with Oakland Reach, there's lots of ways we can support our kids. We don't have to stay locked in these cycles of distress with them. And that's the most important thing we can do as parents, to help take care of ourselves first so that our kids can be learning, they can feel motivated. And sometimes that means dealing with some of our own stress and anxiety around the constantly shifting environment around us and figuring out where can we ground ourselves in a positive experience with our child, for our child, so that they can get what they need.
I'd like to ask all three of you for some really practical tips on, because everybody says engage with the teacher, right? Have a relationship with the teacher. Wendy, let me start with you. I know that you guys have a tool, what do you call it? The parent-teacher planning tool?
Yeah.
What is that? And is that a way to actually practically engage?
Yeah. So again, as our research has validated what we all know as parents on this panel. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. And so echo Helen and everything that she shared. But what we've seen is that parents are not only more engaged in their children's education, but have become incredible observers in understanding how their children learn best and where they're doing well and what they need more support in. So at Learning Heroes, we leaned into what we heard from parents and teachers to create the parent-teacher planning tool that essentially builds on you sharing these incredibly important insights with your teacher right from the start, and then finding out what exactly is expected of your child this year, focusing in on key skills and how you can support at home. We also have a great tool. It's new for this year called the Dear Teacher Letter. It's easy to fill out and personalize so that right from the beginning of the year, you can share a bit about your family. And it's a great way to just really jumpstart that relationship. Dr. Cardona talked about that relational divide, and we're really worried about it.
Lakeisha, I live in a town where a lot of people don't speak English as a first language. It can be daunting to approach a teacher. It can feel scary. What's your biggest tip?
My biggest tip is we need to have the hub, Kate, that we built in Oakland replicated across this country, right? so that communities, all different communities, especially lower income communities, especially English as second language learning communities, are served. Our hub serves those communities the best. And I will add to this, Kate, is that we are actually going to be using the Dear Teacher letter that the Learning Heroes has created with our families in English and Spanish. But I will tell you that the reason why it's going to be effective is because they will have a family liaison, they will have a hub, an infrastructure that actually supports them in like writing the letters, setting the goals, and really, really partnering. We can have great ideas, but we have got to have the right structures in place to make sure that this works for all families.
Helen, one of the things that I've had experts tell me before, and I've lived in my own life, is starting early seems to be a good idea. You know, getting to know the teacher in the early part of the year rather than waiting till there's a crisis.
Absolutely, Kate. I mean, that expert advice is there for a reason. It's certainly supported by the research, as well as common sense. And I think one thing to also be on the lookout for this fall is there's going to be a lot of testing data that comes out, right? From this past year, from what it's like in this coming year. And so part of your work as a parent is to try to make that connection with your teacher. Part of it is also don't let any test results stand alone without your story and in your interpretation behind it. You as a parent have had that front row seat. So you know, is this because my kid had a substitute teacher all year last year? Or is this because my kid really didn't understand the concept? Or is it because they were doing it at the dinner table with our 4 other kids, right? When like a very distracted setting. But you as a parent have all of that information. And it's so, so critical that you have these tools like the Dear Teacher letter and other to really make sure your child is not just a statistic. There is a huge story going on behind the data that's going to be coming out over the next few months. And you are a big part of the equation in supporting your child and making sure that the folks inside the school have that full story to do their jobs too.
Helen Westmoreland with the PTA, Wendy Lopez Aflito, and Lakeisha Young. Thank you all. It was really valuable to talk with you. Wish it were longer. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let me move on to our final segment, which is they've called Healthy Minds. So we're going to talk about mental health. I've got with me Dr. Arthur Evans. He is CEO of the American Psychological Association. And Amy Wood is a PTA parent leader. She's with Franklin Elementary PTA in San Diego, California. And she's with us because they've been doing some really unique work out there. Dr. Evans, I'll start with you. And Amy, I'll get to you in a second. Mental health, there's so much to talk about. I think a lot of parents really tried to prioritize mental health in the past year. And maybe that meant scaling back a little bit on homework or extracurriculars or not pushing so hard. Now we're in a new school year. And maybe this is just the mom talking in me, but I think now is the anxiety still there? Are we in a better place now? Where do you see things at this moment? Are you seeing any signs that maybe kids are less distressed than they were? Oh, you're muted. Sorry. Press your unmute in the bottom left. There we go.
Sorry about that. Yeah, well, the pandemic has been stressful on all of us. It's been stressful on us as adults, on children. And, I know that there are parents out there who are seeing their children and they're concerned about their children. They may even see differences in their children. And it's really important for parents to understand that you're not in this alone. We're all experiencing stress. And in fact, the American Psychological Association Stress in America survey showed that one of the groups that had the highest stress levels, and parents out there know this, are parents who have young children. So, the challenge for us is to make sure that we have, one, that we recognize that's what's happening, that can have an impact on our children. What Ms. Westmoreland said earlier is such an important point, that how our children do is really highly related to how we do as parents and how we cope. And so I think it's really important for parents to understand the signs that our children might be experiencing distress. For younger children, that might be thumb sucking or bedwetting, increased clinginess. It could be disturbances in their sleep or loss of appetite. It could be fear of the dark, or children regressing to behaviors that you thought they had grown out of, or social withdrawal. And for older children, adolescents who have the ability to express how they're experiencing those things, you might also see it in their behavior. So you might see irritability, changes in sleep and eating as well. But you might also see aggressiveness or conflict between themselves and their peers or their siblings or even parents or teachers. And so we want to be on the lookout for those kinds of signs. But the important thing to recognize is that when our children are experiencing that kind of stress or mental distress, that there are a lot of effective treatments out there, that there's professional help. The APA at our website, apa.org, has a lot of great resources. The National Parent PTA has some really great resources. It's important for parents to reach out, to use those resources, and then to get help when they need it.
Amy, you're in San Diego. Are you guys back in school already, probably?
We are back in school. This is our second week.
Oh, wow. Week 2. How's it going?
It's going good so far. Yeah. Actually,
Yeah.
This is our first week. I don't know. Time has no meaning.
Time just blurs. I know. Tell me about, you took a lot of initiative in the last year. You really focused in on mental health and trying to get the kids engaged and the community engaged. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we really focused on social emotional health
in the last year. You really focused in on mental health and trying to get the kids engaged and the community engaged. Tell me about that.
Yeah, we really focused on social emotional health, because for us, social of our families, we were told 6 weeks. We could come back in 6 weeks, and 6 weeks came and went, and we were still virtual. And for most of our teachers, they didn't know how to use Zoom. They didn't know how to organize classrooms, and we were constantly pinging them saying, but how do we get our kids to talk to each other? And so when we went into the next year, which was this last year, we said, okay, that has to be our focus. The school can do healthy lunches, they can do the curriculum, and we will help with social emotional health. And so we sent home wellness packets, we did restorative parenting classes. We just really tried to keep our community together and to make sure that everybody was included.
Which was hard to do at a distance, right?
Oh, absolutely. And, we weren't allowed on campus. We had to do everything over Zoom. And for a lot of our families, they don't speak English. And it was difficult to make sure that we could even know what our families were feeling and what their needs were, because everybody was overwhelmed. Like, how do you send home a survey? Hey, can you take 5 minutes out of your insanely busy day to tell me like what you need from us? Like, I need you to not bother me because I'm stressed out.
Right. Yeah. It's been a tough time, Dr. Evans. And now that we're kind of pivoting back and most schools are in person, cross fingers, I guess, for those who want to be in person. How do we now help our kids be social again? Because at least where I live, that's the issue now. We're sort of transitioning back to the old way of doing things where our kids had really gotten used to being on a screen.
Yeah, well, I think we have to be intentional about doing that. You heard Secretary Caldera mention the relationship gap. And I think it's really important to understand that one of the things that the pandemic has done is it has really strained one of the most important supports that we have, and that is social connection. And we have to be then intentional about not only trying to re-engage, but doing it in a safe way, because we're still in this transitional period. And so parents have to balance then how, one, being intentional about making those connections, but also doing it in a way that their children can be safe. And so it's about talking about and having a plan for how to do that. How are you going to have your children to re-engage and to have a plan around that? I also think it's important to help our children and talk about that in the context of the various places that they're going to be. What's the plan in your neighborhood? What's the plan within the school system and within your school setting? What's the plan in terms of when you start to re-engage in other places, your places of worship and so forth, so that your children can have both that plan, but also understand that those connections are really important, and you're helping to facilitate that.
I've heard psychologists call that coping ahead, right? Like planning ahead so that you know
having the plan so that you're not having to figure this out on the spur, or for your children not to know what it is that you are expecting in those instances.
Amy, I'd love for you to share what you've learned about, you were talking about trying to do a survey when nobody has time to even answer a 5-minute survey. What have you learned that's worked? What have you found that did get through to the parents?
Yeah, I think the main thing is to keep reminding parents that when they engage with the school or when they engage with the PTA, to not come with a consumer mindset. You're not asking them what they can do for you. You're asking how you can partner together, because healthy school communities are built. They're built by everybody there: students, teachers, staff, parents. And so you really need to give people agency and make their voices prominent. It needs to include everybody. And I think that you can do that by making sure your school staff and your PTA is visible and accessible. So for instance, make sure that parents know that they're wanted at back to school night. Even if you're a grizzled vet and this is your 5th kid through school and you've done this 80 million times, go every single year, because schools should change every single year, because there's new kids every single year, there's new parents. And so you definitely want to have new information. You want to say, okay, this is what our social emotional plan is. This is, how we're engaging our whole staff. For instance, like for our PTA, we notice that when kids are on campus, they break down socially at lunch or recess because it's unstructured. Kids get hurt feelings, there's bullying. So you want to make sure that the staff that is with them during those times, like custodial, cafeteria, yard duties, that those people are also included in any plan and talking, because that's who the kids are going to turn to. When they are upset, they're going to turn to the custodian, they're going to turn to the yard duty. Any plan that just includes, some parent leaders and some classroom teachers is incomplete. It really has to be inclusive to the whole school community. And then also, be supportive of teachers. Teachers are like super stressed right now. They're dealing with learning loss and COVID mitigations and their own family stresses. I mean, some of these teachers have young kids too. And so be positive, encourage positivity. I love to hear when my kid does something great in class. They clean up or they pick up. And you better bet that when my teacher tells my kid a joke that he tells me at dinner, I'm going to email the teacher and say, hey, you made my kid laugh today, and I really appreciate that. It's that genuine connection making. Parents talk to other parents that drop off and pick up. Talk to them at Friday night football. It's awkward and it's hard for people like me who are introverts. But when you do it, when you model that behavior, especially in front of your kids, they are more likely to do that behavior on their own. And I think that it makes everybody feel like they can take a deep breath and they walk onto the campus. It's not, oh, I'm going to hear bad news or I have to talk to that person. It's, that person's not going to ask me to volunteer. She genuinely wants to know how I'm doing. And hey, if that means that I get to hang out with her while I volunteer, maybe I want to do that.
It's fantastic. Thank you for bringing it around to the teachers and our appreciation for all those teachers out there who I'm sure are watching too. Dr. Evans, do you have a final quick thought? I'm out of time, but I'm going to let you get a last thought.
Well, thank you for having me here. I think one of the things that's really important is for parents to recognize that they're not alone, that their children are going to experience difficulties during this period of time, but children are also very resilient and they're going to be able to bounce back. So even if your child is having challenges today, the reality is that they can bounce back, particularly if they get professional help, if they are having difficulty. And I would encourage people that if their child is having difficulties, to reach out to their schools, to reach out to their medical professionals, to reach out to others, to reach out to their insurance company to get access to the services that their children need. These are highly treatable conditions when children do have these kinds of mental health challenges, and getting them addressed early is one of the best ways that we can help our children do well in school and life in general.
Dr. Arthur Evans, thank you. Amy Wood, thank you for both being with us. It was really, really helpful to all of us. Appreciate it. I am going to turn things back over now to Anna King with the National PTA, who's going to close us out. Anna, I never asked you what your favorite color was.
My favorite color is orange.
There we go.
Yes, and thank you for sharing your favorite color with us. We love that. Wow. So this was a great conversation, full of some amazing information that was shared from some experts. Kate, thank you so much for moderating this important conversation today for us and for sharing your concerns as a parent with children in our schools. Dr. Biden, Dr. Walensky, Secretary Cardona, Dr. Beers, Dr. Evans, Wendy, Lakeisha, Francis, Amy, and of course, Helen and Beth. Thank you so much for sharing your insight, your advice, and resources for everyone watching today. To every one of you that is watching with us today and joining this important conversation, thank you for sharing your concerns and for being your child's advocate and wanting to make sure that your children, our teachers, and our staff inside of our school buildings are safe. You are not in this alone, as many of our guests have said today, and we encourage you to follow National PTA, NBC, CDC, U.S. Department of Education, American Academy of Pediatrics, the American Psychological Association, Learning Heroes, the Oakland Reach, and to get more information and resources that was shared with all of you today to support you this school year. It's right at your fingertips. Please go to these sites and get the information so you can become well-informed and be that child advocate for your children inside of their schools this year. Please join us for the National PTA's Back to School Week, September 13th to 17th. Throughout this week, we'll be sharing important information and resources at pta.org/back-to-school. And on our social media, we're going to be using the hashtag PTA Back to School to help you plan your school year, engage with your communities, and support our students' success academically, socially, and emotionally. We all know this is extremely important for this school year. Before we go today, we have placed a link in for survey in the comment section of this Facebook Live. We would really appreciate if all of you watching today would take a couple of minutes of your time to complete the survey and share your perspectives with us. We need that. That helps us to move forward. Thank you for completing the survey, and thank you again for joining us. We hope that you, all of you watching, understand the importance. We know that you do, and get this information and utilize it to help you become comfortable at home with your children. We wish everyone a great, safe, and healthy school year. Thank you again for joining us.